era.
Oh! A jawbreaker! Curry, way downtown. Bang!
It's all basketball.
A spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Lace them up. It's time for 1010XL's Open Gym. Leading the break, here's RJ Saunders.
And it is the basketball show for the basketball fan on this Thanksgiving weekend. We're glad you're spending it with us, and we're glad to be spending it with you. Welcome back to Open Gym. RJ Saunders here. Anthony Damon here in the box as well. And most importantly, you guys are here with us, and we thank you for giving us a couple moments of your day to listen to this program. As always, your way onto the program, the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosure 641-1010, the MyBookie Digital Studios on whatever platform you like to listen to your 1010XL programming, be that Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Got two questions for you today on this Thanksgiving weekend. Which NBA player are you most thankful for to have been able to watch growing up? And of course, for me, it's Kobe Bryant. I wasn't able to see Jordan until his Wizards years, but to see Kobe Bryant was an absolute joy to watch. Allen Iverson, another guy who was absolutely spectacular to watch in his Philly days where he had a death grip on the NBA. Give us some names and some guys in which you loved watching growing up in their NBA career. Kevin Garnett, a great name. MVP 2004 with the Minnesota Timberwolves, wins an NBA championship, albeit at the hands of defeating my LA Lakers in 2008. We don't talk about that. We did get them back in 2010. Second question for you. Is there an Orlando Magic player that is going to get a statue outside of the Kia Center in Orlando? Pat Riley, it's been announced by the LA Lakers that he is going to get a statue, and the Lakers have 10 million statues outside of crypto. I can't call it crypto. I try to be professional, but it's Staples to me. But Pat Riley now, another of many that have gotten a statue outside of Staples Center. Will there ever be someone from the Orlando Magic? And if so, who? Let us know, 641-1010. Now, I want to get started here because this question to you guys is almost an extension of the conversation we had 2 weeks ago when we talked about what's worse for the league. Is it three-point shooting or is it load management? But this seems to be a thing that is swirling around NBA Twitter, and I really got to ask it to see if there is a substratum, a foundation, if you will, as to why this may be happening, although few say that this is not a big issue at all. But does the NBA have a viewership problem? And we love having options, right? You had options of whether or not you wanted to go to a friend's house, family member's house, GFBF, spend it alone with your family, what you were going to do, what you were going to eat during Thanksgiving, right? Or an option as to where the list of games that you have. The world has given us nothing now but options. And it seems to me that the NBA, at least when it comes to the beginning of the year, the option of wanting to watch, if you're not a diehard NBA fan, that option is almost slim to none. And according to Front Office Sports, viewership on ESPN has been down 28% since November 21st. Viewership on TNT has also been down 3% until that showdown between the Cavs and the Celtics. And Adam Silver in the league, I'll give them credit. They have pushed back on this notion that viewership is down because no one wants to watch the product. Saying that, listen, we had a lot of things going on during the time that the NBA season was getting started. You had a presidential election. There was the World Series. You also had other external events that'll keep you away from the NBA product, which I would believe underlying he's saying the NFL. And listen, I get made fun of at this station by three individuals when it comes to the NBA. I produce their show from 2 to 4 if you listen, Monday through Friday. And they say that they're not going to watch the NBA until December 25th, or they're going to watch it after All-Star. Before this show kicked off 8 months ago, I was told 5 years ago by our great GM of the Superstation, this is a very niche thing if we're going to put a basketball show on the air. There aren't too many people in Jacksonville that are really NBA fans, or we just don't have enough NBA fans to really get a show going here. But thanks to you, thanks to the GM for believing in it, and most importantly, thanks to the Orlando Magic, we have a show here in which we're able to talk to you about the NBA and your favorite teams, and in particular, the Orlando Magic. Sometimes the Los Angeles Lakers, too. I digress. But what the NBA has been trying to attack, and at least what they've been trying to attack for years now, they're not trying to attack me in terms of trying to get the target audience of me or you, the diehard NBA fan. They want the casual guy. They want the person in which maybe driving down Beach Boulevard right now says, I may watch a couple games, may view in the All-Star, but I really, April, May, June, that's when I really get into it. The playoffs, go to the local sports bar, maybe go to a cigar lounge. They have the game on. That's when I watch. That's who the NBA has tried to attack. Here's a big question, though. Does the NBA even care? Do you think the NBA really feels like there has been a problem? Look, they just cracked a new deal with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon for $76 billion with a B, $billion. You have all-star caliber players in small markets, Paolo Banchero and Franz in Orlando. Minneapolis, you have Anthony Edwards. Memphis, you have Ja Morant. Charlotte, you have LaMelo Ball. There's parity around the league that have made a whole bunch of storylines. We haven't had a repeat champion in a while, so there's no one dominating the league. And for the most part, there's been no team that dominate this half of the decade. As of yet, we could see the Boston Celtics do so. So what seems to be the problem, if you could pinpoint it? Well, this is Shaquille O'Neal on his podcast, the big podcast, as he likes to call it, giving his thoughts as to why viewership is down for the NBA.
I have a theory that it's down because we're looking at the same thing. Everybody's running the same plays at the damn top of the key, dribble handoff. I was talking to a coach yesterday. He said they want to shoot 53s. Because, they were trying to contemplate if I could play in this era. And it's like, yo, Shaq, we would just shoot 53s. And I was like, well, how much you want to make? We want to make about 10 or 15 of them. I was like, well, that's not going to help you win. But I think everybody's looking at the same thing. And Steph Curry and those guys messed it up. Like, I don't mind Golden State back in the day shooting threes, but every team's not a three-point shooter. So why everybody has the same strategy? I think viewership will continue to go down unless we switch things back up.
On that TNT opening night, there were two games. There were 162 threes shot in those two games alone.
So I get what Shaq is saying in terms of it was cool when one team was doing it. Now every team is doing it. That's the mantra now. And the NBA is a copycat league. When you see an NBA team that's successful and wins a championship doing one particular thing that was their strongest weapon in their arsenal, if you will, teams want to copy that. That's how we'll win. The NBA right now, teams are averaging about 37 three-point attempts per game. That's nearly triple to what it was the beginning of this century. And it's almost up about 50% since the 2014-2015 season when the Golden State Warriors were making their run. So this kind of gets thrown back at Shaq's face because who was the hottest team at the time during that 2014-2015 year? Aha. the Golden State Warriors. And the NBA was able to capitalize off that. The national TV rights deals. And then they got two very, very grand, very enticing deals following that due to the Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, even that of Kevin Durant being on that roster, doing what they were able to do. And that's according to Front Office Sports. But is the NBA now supposed to be a three-point shooting contest? Which now leads me further to think, has this destroyed the entertainment value of the NBA? The MLB, they said that they had a problem with the length of the game. That's what they were hearing from fans. It's too long. So they bring in the pitch clock. And for the most part, you could say it's worked in terms of time. People wanting to watch the game more eyes on the game. The NBA has been trying to figure this out with the casual fan. Again, the NBA Cup. The first year was good. It was pretty good. I would like to say the viewership was doing well also. Will it do well this year again? I don't know. The Lakers got kicked out of it last night after losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I know that they would love to have the big name teams in Vegas, as the NBA is probably dropping the breadcrumbs that they'll be having an extension team, an expansion team in Vegas. Is this sustainable? Is this going to bring eyes, whether diehard or casual, to the game in November? It's late November, right? And we're looking just for people to say, hey, listen, it's Friday night, ESPN, Thursday night, TNT, or Tuesday night on TNT because they play Tuesdays and Fridays. NBA Cup game. This is what's going to get the eyes on the product. Don't know. As you can see, the NBA is still having a problem with this all-star format. Now they changed the format yet again in as many years because now you have to figure out, is this going to make them competitive in terms of having 4 different teams, and the winner of the rookie sophomore challenge gets to be the 4th team. Is that going to help individuals with their eyes being placed on the game? Don't really know. Don't have the answer to that question. But to me, as a guy who's watched the All-Star game for a while now and saw the competitiveness of past All-Star games, that entertainment value seems to be gone because the players really don't view this as a game or the greatest pickup game, exhibition game in the world. So the NBA right now has been trying to stick whatever they can to the wall, and it doesn't seem to be working. Which brings me to the third point. Is this a load management issue? There are going to be several teams playing tonight. This is now game 20. We're 20 games in on November 30th, 2024. Do teams care about game 20? It seems to be the Philadelphia 76ers are telling you they do not care. Joel Embiid, since he's been able to come back and play, it seems like he's been resting, or they've been sitting him out more than he's been scheduled to play for the Philadelphia 76ers. A lot of teams are making it very clear. We are worried about April, May, and June. And in particular, June 5th, because June 5th is game 1 of the NBA Finals. So now these national TV games that you have in which you say, we'll rest our guys. I remember the NBA getting pissed. You remember, I believe that was 2014. You remember that game in Miami in 2014? It was supposed to be the Spurs against the Heat. Greg Popovich tells Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, go home. It's a game we don't care about. The NBA was mad. This is our national TV game. This is supposed to be the premier game. You sent them home? Now it just seems to be the norm. And diehard fans like myself say, well, if they don't play, they don't play. Does that help them? Because if teams are saying that they don't care, then why should the viewer? Why should the casual fan? And something I've also considered, third-party distribution. I won't tell on you if you don't tell on me. Just come as close to the radio as you can. Cord cutting and cable cutting in this era has become the norm. Don't lie to me. You can't lie to me. Another word for lollipop is a sucker. That's not who I am. You know it. $9.99 or $29.99, or let's just say $125 for League Pass, or to watch it on, it's going to be on Amazon in a few years. ESPN really may put their NBA games on ESPN Plus. Are we really paying for that, or are you going to go somewhere like a Stream East and use that? It's free. For the most part, they give you the entire game without it buffering. It works. Is this fixable now is my question, though? Or has the NBA now become too far gone to where it's, we'll take the dip, we'll take the hit. We still made $76 billion in this new media rights deal. We understand what's going to happen in October. World Series, it's football, college football. We got to get through that. And once we do, by the time we get to January, and especially after the Super Bowl in February, that's when everybody comes back in. The casual fan comes back in. Or is there a clear-cut way of solving this problem? And it doesn't seem like there is right now. That's the frightening thing. Before we go to break here, let's get Jerry, who wants to talk about the viewership problem in the NBA. Jerry.
Hey, guys. First, to answer your questions, as a Magic fan, it has to be either Franz or Paolo. That's the statue guy.
Okay.
Growing up, it was Larry Bird because he wasn't the most physically gifted player, but he was such a smart player. He hustled and he got every ounce out of his ability and then some. It's what made him the Hall of Famer. As far as the problems, it's not just a three-point shooting contest or the fact that the load management. I think a lot of it is team defense isn't stressed. That's why I love the Magic. They stress the team defense. The big contracts are in the who's the scorer, who puts up the big offensive numbers. They get the big contract. There's no glamour in playing defense, and there's too much spot fouls. The referees call these little ticky-tack fouls. People don't want to go to the game. At least I lost a lot of interest. Watch referees. They want to go to watch the players. They don't want to. The best referees are the ones that are barely noticed. They don't want to go there to watch a free throw shooting contest. And I'll hang up and listen to your thoughts, guys.
There's been another thing, too. The refs control the game a lot of times now, and they want to be as seen as the players. Every time there's a foul call, we see the referee as much as we see the players now. Even the referees get a little screen now, right? Get a little screen saying, hey, the Lakers have decided to challenge this out-of-bounds call, and we're going to review it right now. And they get a little TV box. The team defense concept, it's become an offensive game, and I believe that's what the NBA wanted. They wanted a more fast-paced game. They didn't want the slowdown. I think they said that was making the game too boring. They didn't want 82 shots per possession, 82 shots per team. Now it's gone to over 100, right? Let me know if you know how to solve this problem, or what is the problem, if you can pinpoint it to me, 641-1010. But when we come back, let's talk a little bit about the Orlando Magic, winners of 11 of their last 12. They enjoy a 5-game win streak right now, and Jeff Turner is going to talk all about it with us right here on Open Gym on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
You don't think this would be a good moment to text somebody?
There's never a bad moment to share your opinion on the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Share your opinion
as soon as possible
at 641-1010.
The holidays are just around the corner, and so is your entire family.
Babe, the toilet's growling at me again.
Uh-oh, the kitchen sink just turned into Old Faithful. There's no hot water!
Don't let plumbing chaos steal your holiday cheer. Call Duck Duck Rooter today to fix those issues before Aunt Linda blames you for ruining Christmas dinner. Duck Duck Rooter, your local plumbing pros. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Prosser here for Lifetime Flooring. You've heard us rave about Lifetime Enclosures. Now let's talk about Lifetime Flooring. I can tell you firsthand, the product, services, best in Jacksonville. As you know, updating your floors is one of the most dramatic changes you can make to your home. Call the experts at Lifetime Flooring now and ask about their buy one room, get one room free promotion through Christmas. 0% financing, available to meet any budget. Visit their beautiful showroom just off Phillips Highway. And as always, tell them Prosser sent you.
It's Thanksgiving week, and Monahan Jewelers has the best deals in town with up to 40% off the entire store. Thousands of beautiful pieces are all on sale with fantastic prices on our entire inventory, including up to 30% off on GIA certified diamonds. We're your local family jeweler, so come visit us today and on Small Business Saturday for up to 40% off on diamond studs, engagement rings, colored gemstones, our designer brands, custom design, everything. The name you can trust in fine jewelry, Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Hey, Googans, Hicken here from my friends at Beaches Dermatology. We all know summer's now gone, but that doesn't mean the sun goes away. It's Florida, right? That said, you still need to protect yourself from that bright sun. Golfing, fishing, weekends at your kids' game, or just taking care of the yard. Protect yourself and your skin. Beaches Dermatology and I want to remind you to wear your sunscreen. It's important. Holidays are also approaching, so take care of that spouse of yours with a gift from Beaches Dermatology. Call today or go online at beachesdermatology.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. You can go farther and save on full synthetic with our oil change special. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $33.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think.
Or MadDadJacksonville.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
The third place Orlando Magic have won 11 of their last 12 games, currently enjoying a 5-game winning streak following the 123-100 victory against the Brooklyn Nets last night. The team now enjoys an off day before having to go up against the Nets again at 3 p.m. What's been the keys to their success? Well, we're going to talk to an Orlando Magic legend, both on and off the floor, was a part of that great 90s team that went to the NBA Finals led by Shaq and Penny. He is now the color commentator for your Orlando Magic. He is Jeff Turner, so gracious on this holiday weekend to give us a couple moments of his time. Jeff, how are you, man?
I am doing good. I'm spending a long weekend or a few extra days in the bitter cold up there in New York City. So this is an interesting trip for us, as you just mentioned. 2 games in a row against Brooklyn, and then we've got our big matchup with the New York Knicks on Tuesday as part of this whole Emirates Cup thing, and then we're going to head to Philly for 2 games.
Wow!
So it's interesting. 5 games in 2 cities. I don't know in my long NBA career if I've ever seen anything like it, but that's the new NBA.
Right. And before we get to the Orlando Magic, who have been playing great throughout this stretch without Paolo Banchero, just wanted to get this from you. It's been our question that we've been asking the listeners here. But for you personally, in your basketball career, in both playing and broadcasting, just give me something you've been thankful for through this beautiful game of hoops.
Oh, that's a big question. But I think as I look back on what the game of basketball has meant to me, whether it's when I was in college, I played on a bunch of USA teams.
Right.
I played obviously I played on the '84 Olympic team. I played 2 years in Italy. Not only has the NBA provided a nice living for me and my family, it's allowed me to see the world and everything. Yeah. So I guess I'm I feel very blessed that basketball has it's just been more than a game. It's it's given me so many great opportunities in my life. Things I just never imagined. When I was a high school kid growing up in Brandon, Florida, never imagined that I'd be in my 60s and still involved in the game of basketball. It's been a true blessing, and I'm very thankful for it.
Absolutely, and we have loved every single moment of watching and listening to you when it comes to the Orlando Magic, especially during your playing days with that great team that went to the NBA Finals back in 1995. But this team here in 2024 has to be the story of the NBA season, because I feel like there were many Orlando Magic fans, maybe those in the national media, that believed that this team was going to go through a significant lull with Paolo Banchero out. However, it seems that after the Cavaliers game, that first game that Orlando played, with Paolo Banchero not being in the lineup, they have truly answered the call. They're winners of 11 out of their last 12. And I just wanted to ask you, what have you seen, having a front row seat to it all? What have you thought about this team, and what have you seen from them through this stretch?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's been, there was certainly concern after Paolo went out. He was such a big, big focal part of, especially on the offensive end of the floor, for the Magic, and as you mentioned, you go to Cleveland, then you go to Dallas, OKC. It was a tough stretch through there, really good teams. So we had lost 4 straight. But I think what's happened, and I give so much credit to Jamal Mosley and his staff. From day one, they have established a culture of next man up, and they have established an identity for this basketball team. It is built on them being an outstanding defensive team. And I think really when Paolo went out, they just leaned more heavily on that identity as being a great defensive team. And, during this stretch, where we've been so good, winning, 11 out of 12, what's happened is we've been, if not the best, the second best defensive team in the league. We've held 8 opponents under 100 points. And so if you do that night in and night out, even on those nights when you miss Paolo Banchero's offensive ability, you give yourself a chance to win. And then the second part of this is the evolution of Franz Wagner. Franz, I think even, if you ask him, it's been a big adjustment, throughout his, national careers, in Germany, and even his time at Michigan. He was a part of something, but he wasn't the main guy, the guy that you leaned on every night. And he is he has been thrust into that role, and it is really amazing how well he has excelled at it. I mean, he has really, his usage rate, has gone up 10 percentage points. I mean, he has really embraced it and done and given us, an offensive punch. So, a long answer to your question, but the defensive identity and the evolution of Franz Wagner has really been a big part of us, winning in the absence of Paolo Banchero.
Absolutely. Jeff Turner, our guest. He is the color commentator of your Orlando Magic. The Magic preparing to face the Brooklyn Nets Sunday at 3. We'll have the coverage of the Orlando Magic's game against the New York Knicks on Tuesday beginning at 7 p.m. Want to stay on Franz Wagner for a moment because I'll be absolutely disappointed if this man's not named an all-star because, I mean, he's been absolutely tremendous leading this team. As you said, he was never looked at as a guy to be the number one scoring option, but I remember watching a game of Franz Wagner. I believe that was his rookie season, and I said, this guy's going to be an all-star. I mean, I don't know if anybody else sees it, but this guy has absolutely been phenomenal to watch. And then you see Orlando Magic Twitter kind of, get on him. They were a bit disappointed after that Game 7 against Cleveland where he only gave you a whopping 2 points. However, it was his first NBA playoff series and was a big part of the Orlando Magic taking it 7 games. But since you have one of your franchise cornerstone pieces out in Paolo Banchero, I think he believed that he understood that they're going to be looking to me to create and also play make and also be the number one scoring option on this ball club. And he really seems to have answered that call with flying colors. Just how proud are you of him to see the just ginormous step he has taken from his, rookie year up until now?
Yeah, I think, I'm extremely proud of him, but, I think you brought up a good point when you kind of go back to last season and the way that it ended with the Game 7 in Cleveland, and nobody was, harder on Franz than himself. He was really disappointed in his, performance in that game. Remember, he had a tough year last year where he didn't shoot the ball from long range very well. There were some areas in his game that needed to improve, and so I think what we're seeing as we watch what he's doing now is all of the work that he's put in on his game, and see, this is why I don't think this is flash in the pan. What you saw his rookie year when you said this guy's going to be an all-star. You become an all-star because you're willing to spend the time and, do the work. You obviously have ability, but you're going to work on those parts of your game, and you're going to be driven to do that so that when this opportunity presents itself, you can step right in. I don't think anybody, and maybe even Franz, didn't really expect Paolo to be out for a long stretch like this.
Right.
But all the work that he's put in and continues to put in, I mean, he is a tireless worker. He is a tough kid. I mean, he rolled his ankle pretty severely in that Chicago game at home before we embarked on this road trip. But yet he's still out there pushing himself to be better. The work he does that people don't see necessarily, we don't cover, but we see is there, and he has just been tremendous. So, yeah, I'm proud of him, but, it's one of those things where he is such a great competitor that it's not surprising.
Absolutely. Jeff Turner, our guest, talking about the Orlando Magic with us. He is the color commentator for your Orlando Magic. I don't want to paint it this way. I don't want to pin it this way. But do you believe that this stretch without Paolo has helped the Orlando Magic in this respect? Once Paolo gets back and we understand the type of player that Paolo is in the beginning to the season, you just thought, oh my goodness, this is Paolo Banchero's coming out party, especially after the first game that he had against the Miami Heat. But it seems that with the way in which the team is playing, with Paolo out, once you're able to get a talent like that back, it really feels like maybe the confidence in those other guys, understanding the player that Paolo is, it may give them confidence down the line to where they're able to say, listen, we're going to be able to help Paolo in big spots too, because we saw what we were able to do without him in the lineup. And I'll follow, that up with another question after you answer this one. But do you believe that this helps the Orlando Magic in terms of their confidence, the others? When you have a superstar a cornerstone player like Paolo Banchero out of the lineup and you see what you're able to do, does that help a team in terms of down the line in the playoffs, gunning for an NBA championship?
Well, anytime, I will say this, anytime you take a player of Paolo's ability out of the lineup, it's hard to say that, you're helping a team, right? But to your point, what's happened is, and I think everybody kind of expected that this would be a team, everybody's got to step up their roles. Franz, Jalen Suggs, whoever it may be, the guys coming off the bench would get more opportunity and they would grow because of it, right? They would become better players.
Right.
I think the surprising part of all this is how successful the team has been, right? With, I don't know that any of us saw this coming to where, I think originally you thought, that, everybody's going to have an opportunity to get better, and in the long run, it'll help us. But I don't know that anybody thought, we'd be any more than, above 500. That, right. Those of us watching the game, night in and night out. What they've done is take it to another level, both offensively and defensively, that now as a fan, when you think about adding Paolo back into that, I mean, you got to start thinking, wow, what are the possibilities for this team? When you add a player, Paolo is an all-star. He was playing as an all-star, almost at MVP level.
Yes.
So you put him back into it. Now I think it ramps up the expectations a little bit, which I think are great.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, just speaking about Paolo Banchero, Jamal Mosley has spoken about how he feels he has another coach on the bench since Paolo's been out. And I really feel like that speaks a lot to how Paolo's evolved and grown as a leader, to stay engaged like that, being out on a young team. That's phenomenal to see out of your superstar player. Just how much impact have you seen from Paolo on this team, given the fact that he hasn't been able to see the floor in quite some time?
It's huge. It really is. I mean, he is right there in the huddles. Most nights we sit courtside, whether it's me and Dante or me and Davis Field. We're courtside. We see him up, particularly with the young guys, Tristan Da Silva and Anthony Black. And, he's in their ear constantly, letting them know what he sees. And trying to help. And even, at times walking up and, talking to Jamal Mosley and saying, hey, I'm seeing this and everything like that. And, to your point, Coach Mosley has talked a lot about how huge that is for this team. Again, I think sometimes, there's, it's never good having a guy like, Paolo out of the lineup, but if he's engaged like he is, there's something positive in him having a chance to see the game maybe from a coaching perspective as well, rather than always being in the fire. As I always say that, when you're in the game and you're playing, you see it kind of at a low level, at, sea level, but when you're coaching, you kind of look at it from 1,000 feet above and everything, and it's a different perspective.
Absolutely. He is Jeff Turner, the Orlando Magic color commentator. So gracious to give us a couple moments of his time during this Thanksgiving weekend, busy holiday. They're in New York enjoying their off day, and he's able to come on our program as always and give us some insight to the Orlando Magic. Jeff, as always, thank you so much, and we'll definitely be doing this down the line as we continue to play the song throughout the Eastern Conference and the entire NBA.
Sounds great. Call me anytime. Let's keep this thing going.
Absolutely. There he goes, Jeff Turner of the Orlando Magic. I definitely got to get some more stories out of him between him playing on the USA team. Then you're with Shaq, young Shaq, and Penny. Definitely got to get him back on the show. Love Jeff Turner. When we come back, there were a lot of shows on this program that talked about great side dishes and Thanksgiving. Let's talk about NBA teams that never were, or they were, and maybe could have been better. Ramona Shelburne gave her top 5 greatest NBA teams of all time. I'll give you my top 5 what-if NBA teams of all time. This is Open Gym on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Did you know you can charge the all-new Honda Electric Prologue in the same receptacle as your phone? You don't need these special charging stations at your home. Simply plug in your Honda or your phone. See your local Honda dealer now. We're electrified.
It's time. Shop Black Friday savings now at Lowe's. Shop now and get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, get an extra 10% off when you buy a major appliance from Whirlpool, like the new Smart Range with air cooking and the new Wipe Clean coating. Lowe's knows deals. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 11/6 to 12/4. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
Picking here for About 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of About 9. Visit About 9 Associates today and experience the difference. About 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
It's Thanksgiving week, and Monahan Jewelers has the best deals in town with up to 40% off the entire store. Thousands of beautiful pieces are all on sale with fantastic prices on our entire inventory, including up to 30% off on GIA certified diamonds. We're your local family jeweler, so come visit us today and on Small Business Saturday for up to 40% off on diamond studs, engagement rings, colored gemstones, our designer brands, custom design, everything. The name you can trust in fine jewelry, Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Did you know you can charge the all-new Honda Electric Prologue in the same receptacle as your phone? You don't need these special charging stations at your home. Simply plug in your Honda or your phone. See your local Honda dealer now. We're electrified.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's all hoops. Open Gym on 1010XL.
The 0489 just bought tickets for the 23rd. The matchup between the Celtics and the Magic for him and his son, his first NBA game. And that is something that he is never going to forget. I'll never forget mine. It's when the Lakers and the Clippers were doing that matinee thing when the Clippers had names such as Corey Maggette and Chris Kaman. Never forget that game. I believe the Lakers were playing a young LeBron James who was fresh in the league. Never forget that day. And I hope little man does not forget his first NBA game between the Celtics and the Orlando Magic. So it's holiday season. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, it always seems to be that time of reflection, right? You know, what we could have done better, what we're going to do better, the regrets you may have had, but even the amazing things that happened during the year. Taking that conference trip up north and networking, things like that, right? Well, Ramona Shelburne, this is where I'm getting my foundation of this argument. She puts out her ESPN top 5 greatest teams of all time. At number 5, she has the 86 Lakers. Number 4, the 86 Celtics has been argued to be the greatest NBA team of all time. Number 3, the 2000-2001 Lakers. You remember that team that only lost once at the hands of Allen Iverson in the NBA playoffs. At number 2, the 96 Bulls. Because at number 1, she has a 72-10, 73-9, I'm sorry, Warriors, which they didn't end their season with a ring. How can they be the number 1 team? But we digress. I want to give you my top 5, but I kind of want to do this with a twist. Who are the great NBA teams of all time that are almost what if-ish, you know? Now, a couple that I have on my list, they did win championships, and some didn't, and I'll give you my list. In no particular order, this is just my top 5, and you can give me your opinion. 641-1010 on the MyBookie Digital Studio. But if I have to say number 5 or number 4, number 3, number 2, number 1, number 5, I'll say if we are to go back to 2002, that Sacramento Kings team. I mean, once upon a time, the Sacramento Kings, for those who remember, that was probably one of the more talented teams in all the NBA. That was a well-oiled machine. I understand Shaq and Kobe and the crew call them the Queens, but did they not give you a scare in 02? Chris Webber at the peak of his powers. Peja Stojakovic, an absolute sniper. Mike Bibby was an underrated point guard, but a perfect fit for Sacramento. Doug Christie was a great 3-and-D for Sacramento as well. But they're forever going to be remembered as the team who got cheated by the Los Angeles Lakers. And hey, I admit it, as a Lakers fan, you were, but I'm also on the bandwagon of Kobe Bryant saying, listen, in Game 7, if you guys would have hit your free throws, what's your response to that? You hit your free throws, you go to the NBA Finals, you face the New Jersey Nets, you win, you probably break up the dynasty of the Los Angeles Lakers maybe a year earlier than maybe they wanted to. Lakers go on to three-peat that year. But what if they win an NBA title, right? Number 4, I know this is going to hurt the hearts of many because I'm going to go back to the year 1995 with the Orlando Magic. And I kind of see this from both sides. Hakeem Olajuwon, I really feel we don't give him his just due when it comes to greatness, and was a very dominant force and was the sole reason why the Houston Rockets won back-to-back NBA titles. I understand you had Clyde for the second one, but, I mean, come on. Hakeem was an absolute monster, especially what he did to David Robinson. I believe that was in the semifinals that year. But you look at that Orlando Magic team, this is Shaquille O'Neal running like a deer, Shaquille O'Neal. And he's dominant 5 feet and in. Penny hasn't blew out his knee yet. Horace Grant was all defensive team that year. And Nick Anderson shooting 41, 42% from beyond the arc. Kenny Smith has said that he believed during halftime of Game 1 of that NBA Finals game, series, I should say, between the Magic and the Rockets, he and Clyde said, if we don't win now, we're not going to win because this team's going to be in the finals for the next 10 years. They end up losing. 96 comes around. Shaq's gone to L.A. Penny, his knees have now given out. What happens? I think they can round off 1, maybe 2 championships, health being everything. 1, maybe 2. That was definitely a fun team to watch. Number 3, if you're going to look at one team that could have been in the finals for the next 10 years, then why not this one in the Oklahoma City Thunder? Big 3, that term, it really does get thrown around a lot. You know, in 08, you had Garnett, Allen Pierce. 96, you got Jordan, Rodman, Pippen. 2013, it's Wade, Bosh, and James. But how about this trio of Westbrook, Durant, and Harden? And that year, they defeat the Dallas Mavericks, who were the defending champions at that time. You sweep them in 4 games. You defeated Kobe and the Lakers, which that was really the end of Kobe and the Lakers. Following that, you beat them in 5 games. You defeat San Antonio, and if you remember that you go down 0-2 in that series and just weren't ready to face the Miami Heat, who had lost the year before. And you gave it up because you didn't want to pay James Harden. You keep that team together, there's probably 2 or 3 championships in Oklahoma City, right? Number 2, I wonder if Shaq and Kobe stay together, honestly, how many more championships do they win? We can't get to the sound now. I mean, I'm pressed for time here, but I do wonder. That's my number 2 team. I do wonder how long they stay together. And then number 1, if they would have stayed together, how many would the Heat have rounded off? That big 3. Pat Riley does believe that they would have won 5 or 6 championships. We may have to talk about this again next week. 5 or 6 championships to get there if they would have stayed together. That's my 5 what-if teams. But that's going to do it for us. We'll be back with you next week. For Anthony Damon, I'm RJ Saunders. This has been Open Gym on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Dice games and liquor and a bunch of other vices that attract kids, the dealers, but I'm focused on my game with the